My fringe looks so fucked up. Hi friends, welcome to my channel. How are you? I hope you're good. Today I'm sharing the process of dyeing some boring clothes to make them less boring. This actually took way longer than I planned because with the jeans in particular, I was painting the dye on because I wanted to do like split dye, like half-half, so I couldn't submerge the entire thing in water or in dye mixture. So yeah, that took ages and I had to order more dyes and it was just really fiddly. So they didn't come out as saturated as I would have liked. And then with the synthetics, I was not using enough dye at first, and I also wasn't doing it on a stovetop, so I had to order more synthetic dye and then do that all over again. But we got there in the end. It was literally winter when I started this project, and now we're halfway through the first month of spring. I was really looking forward to wearing my hot pink fluffy jacket, and it'll have to wait till next year now. But anyway, if you want to see the process of how I went from these neutral items, somewhere on the screen, I'm not sure where they will be, to these less neutral but not exactly how I wanted them, but still fun anyway, I hope, items, then stay tuned. So first off, I soaked the jeans in RIT colour remover, even though it clearly says on the box that it doesn't work on blue denim. But hey, rules were meant to be broken. So I tried anyway and ended up with jeans that looked white until I started rinsing them and all the blue came back. Weird. Sciencey stuff, I don't know. Anyway, that was a waste of time. So I soaked the jeans in a sink full of water mixed with a bottle of cleaning bleach for about 4 hours until they were pretty pale but not completely white because I was scared the jeans would fall apart. I rinsed thoroughly and put them in the washing machine. Also, these are my ducks. You're welcome. Onto the dyeing. I placed the damp jeans onto a drop sheet that I'd used for a previous dyeing project and started very carefully painting the blue dye onto them. Until I realised that there were dye splotches on the drop sheet that had transferred onto my jeans and said, "Fuck," and had a little meltdown because then I put them in the wash with stain remover spray and hoped for the best. After I'd given myself a minute to calm down, I started the green jeans without the dye covered drop sheet. I saturated one leg with a sponge, which I would not recommend as the dye was very hot. I also used a paintbrush on the middle seam and around the pockets to get a cleaner line. I used a plastic bag in the pockets to avoid the dye soaking through to the other side. Basically, I was just trying to get them as saturated as possible since I was painting the dye on rather than soaking them in it. I left them on the clothesline for about a week while I waited for the yellow dye to arrive. I also didn't wash them, which definitely impacted the final results. By the time the yellow dye arrived, I decided I was going to soak the jeans in yellow to make the green brighter, which definitely worked, but because I hadn't washed them, the green bled into the yellow, making them 2 tones of green instead of yellow and green. Which honestly I wasn't too bothered by, but I did want more contrast between the 2 shades of green, so I applied more green while they were still wet. After I rinsed them, I still felt that the colours were too similar, so I painted more green on until I finally had something that I was happy with. This next pair, I honestly don't even know what happened. They looked really saturated, and then I put them in the wash and they completely faded. Once another box of pink dye arrived, I redid the pink half on the stove using a combination of the paintbrush and sponge method and also the proper actually soaking it in the dye method, which was incredibly difficult because A, I was trying to avoid the pockets, the middle seam and half of the waistband, and B, the water was near boiling temperature, so also pain. Once I'd submerged the jeans as much as I could, I painted more pink on the places that I couldn't soak properly. I put them in the dryer in hopes that the heat would set the dye in, and then I washed them in cold water. While they were still damp from the washing machine, I heated up more dye and painted it on. You can already see that the pink just isn't as saturated around the top where I couldn't fully submerge the jeans, but I tried my best. Also, by this point, I was so over it that I started getting sloppy with the dye, and I also didn't put the plastic bag in the pockets, so there was some colour transfer. I rinsed the jeans as much as I could and washed them on a cold cycle. Okay, now for the synthetics. Look who's on the paper! It's Courtney! Hi, Courtney! You're gonna go in the recycling now. So starting with the jacket, I got it nice and damp. I used 2 bottles of RIT Dye more synthetic dye, stirred well and slowly added my jacket. I kept this in the pot for about 30 minutes, constantly stirring and repositioning the jacket to get it as evenly dyed as I could. Off camera, I very carefully transferred it to the laundry sink. I added another 2 bottles of dye to the water, and then I added the skirt and my curtains one at a time and kept them moving and stirring for another 20 to 30 minutes. Once again, off camera, I transferred these to the laundry sink, rinsed them and put them on a cold cycle in the washing machine. And honestly, I cannot tell you how relieved I was to be finished with this project. By this point, my gloves had broken and my fingernails were absolutely hating me from all the hot water. First up, we have the green jeans. I'm pretty happy with how these ones turned out, honestly. No complaints here. Now we have the pink and blue jeans. I really want to like these, but I just hate how patchy and unsaturated they are. The skirt turned out fine, but I probably still won't wear it. I own 2 skirts with this type of shape and they always make me feel old and matronly. I don't know why I thought changing the colour would fix that. And last but definitely not least, the item that I want to keep glued to my body forever. I'm so obsessed with this. Ugh. It's always been warm and fluffy, but it was such a beige, dusty pink, and now it's really bright and fills me with so much joy. If you made it all the way to the end, thank you so much for watching. Please feel free to comment below because it will help with the algorithm, and also like and subscribe. I hope to see you in the next video. Bye!